Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of Infection Podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on X at Nicholas M. Craig or visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. We can't do this thing alone. Joining me as always, Brian with an I Alders. Hey, Brian, what's going on?
Not much. If you want to find me, of course, at Voice Computer on X or at Brian Aldridge on Gab, Getter, Truth Social, and wherever else.
Excellent.
So,
Man of
Nick,
the social media. Yes, Brian.
Yes. I hear you followed up and you are playing a game that we talked about, last week? Was it last week?
Yes.
Or the week before? I don't remember.
You know, it's not very often that I follow up and say what I'm going to do. But last week, I laid a question on you during the show. Had you heard of this game called Palworld? And you had not. I had heard very little about it. Excuse me. I'd heard about it. I hadn't played it. I didn't watch anything about it. Didn't really know a whole lot about it at all. So I, pulled out my Infection Podcast Amex card and purchased the game, and it is it's been pretty great. It is a Ark style game. You run around the world and you catch pals, which the drama, if you want to call it that people have talked about or you may have seen, is that these pals are very similar to Pokemons. And there's been a lot of question of whether Nintendo is going to jump into this and try and claim that they've got some ownership or some right. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but it's a very similar concept. It's a game that's built in Unreal, and it is a game that is for a game that nobody really knew about and popped onto the scene just a few weeks ago, Brian. A pretty great experience. Now, I will admit I have only played single player. I have not delved into the multiplayer of it yet. I'm playing at my own kind of slow pace. Plus, I play video games in the middle of the day when most people are working. I have found it relaxing. I have found it enjoyable. I have found it stress-free, and overall, I've logged close to 16 hours in the past. I think some of that's AFK time at the menu, but I've logged a significant amount of time on it since we talked last week, and I can pop into it, play for 25, 30, 40 minutes, go back to my base, log out, and I'm good to go. So I've really enjoyed it, and I will say if you were somebody that liked a game like Ark, you will like this game. It is not a hardcore. I would not classify it as a hardcore survival game. It is not a Rust kind of game.
Yeah.
You do not the time investment is not a game like Rust. Again, I'm playing single player, so take that for what it's worth. Relatively bug free. I've run into no game-breaking issues. All of the mechanics seem to work well enough. Nothing that I have noticed that is game-breaking or has ruined my experience. I enjoy the survival aspect of it. There's a lot of crafting and building. One of the cool mechanics of the game, unlike a game like Ark, is you capture these pals and you literally use a ball to do it. That's why the resemblance to Pokemon is so similar. Yeah. But they actually work for you. So you put them at your base. Oh, okay. You can have a certain number of them deployed, and depending on what you've caught, they have different skills and abilities. So some can cook using fire. Others can mine resources. Others can pick things up and move them from areas in your base and drop them off in a storage container. One of the really cool things about it is in the crafting side of it, Brian. If you have chests nearby when you're building something in a base, you don't have to have all of the items in your inventory. You can craft out of those storage containers, which is important. Nice. Yeah. And that's always been an issue in survival games is managing. You want to craft something that's expensive in terms of resources and having to run around your base and pick up 3 of this and 47 of this. And it's just if we're being honest, it's a royal pain in the ass. This game has got that kind of element gone. As long as the resources are available, you can use them. Johnny Find is saying Nick has lost his mind. That's that's well and accurate, and seemingly normal for me. I've enjoyed it, Brian, because it's nice and casual. I can sit here and just kind of chill out, decompress, and play it for a little while. I'd assume if I was playing with multiple people in a more co-op, that would be maybe a little bit different. But for a solo game, I've really enjoyed it. If you like a game like Ark, I would highly recommend you check it out. And you were doing some research before the show. This it's on Game Pass for the Xbox, right?
Yeah, so it's on Game Pass, and they also have it available for cloud gaming on there. So if you don't want to even install it, you can run it with cloud gaming on your PC or on your Xbox. So that's pretty cool. Save the download time.
Yeah.
There was one thing in here. They talk about dungeons. Have you had any experience yet with dungeons? They call them dungeons. I don't know what that really means.
I don't think I've run through a dungeon yet. I was doing some research on it. I've got a decent amount of time into it, but just not until this afternoon did I actually start exploring the map more. I was being very conservative in my play of the game, just trying to figure out all the mechanics, and it was definitely slow playing, and I was not speed running. So I don't believe I've gone through a dungeon yet. I have completed the first main battle in the game, which is like which would be like a gym boss in a traditional Pokemon game, if you're familiar with that. So I've done that and had some success in that after multiple attempts. So I think that's the element that I'm in. But I know the dungeons are a big element of the game, and they are a huge. They're an important part of leveling up, is running through dungeons and completing that. So I don't believe I've done that as of yet.
Yeah, it says it has online co-op of 2 to 4 players, or online multiplayer 2 to 4 players. So now those are the only players on the whole map. Like, so you're pretty much sharing an instance with them.
You are.
I know that we talked about how they have servers.
It's via invite code, from what I understand.
Okay. And you're running on some sort of server that Palworld.
Well, Brian, that is the problem here. This game has exploded in popularity. According to Steam, it's got somewhere in the ballpark of 5, 6, 7 million players. And here's the headline over at Tech Radar. Palworld reveals a numerous dedicated server costs. If the player count stays as it is, $6 million annual fee could cause the studio to go bankrupt. The CEO says that those numbers are going to get higher, and that's because there's just so many people playing the game. In a post,
that'll go down, though. I mean, the only way that becomes a major issue is if people are still playing, they should have a way of making money, which would be the reason that server cost is so high. Because I think right now they're paying $475,000 per month right now to host. But of course, that's with the super high player numbers.
Sure.
If your numbers go down, and plus they're making I don't know what their kickback from Microsoft is for having it on Game Pass, but I would hope that they would.
I bet you there's nothing. It's an indie game. I bet you there's no kickback. This is an unknown studio indie game. There's no.
Yeah, but usually based on usage, they'll get some sort of money from
maybe
Microsoft. So I'm assuming that they're probably getting some sort of fee for having it on there, which hopefully will cover their monthly server costs at least, or the monthly server costs. That would be ideal, right?
There's no way. Way Microsoft's paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to have it on Game Pass. No way. There's no way. It's an unknown game. It's an unknown studio. Now, as you point out very well, though, I mean, a game like this, its peak popularity is going to be right now. They have the cash right now. The game is $30. Those costs will go down over time. But the numbers are way higher. According to this, there's a staggering 19 million players across Steam and Xbox. And Steam revenue is estimated over $200 million.
How many people purchased it, though? That's with it being on the Game Pass, how much money are they actually making?
Okay, that's a question that I don't know. I would assume, and I will admit I have not played I don't think my Game Pass subscription is currently active. I assume a majority of the players are on PC. I don't know what the console experience is like. I'm sure it's all right. Games like this, I don't know how well they translate. It's not Rust. It's not Arma. It's not one of these games where there's a gazillion different keyboard commands, but there's enough that I don't know what the controller experience is like. So I don't know I assume the Xbox numbers are high, but I assume it's higher on Steam. I mean, they had 2 million concurrent players on Steam 11 days ago. I mean, this is a staggering number. 2.1 million concurrent players. That's nuts.
What I might try tonight is playing with, because I have a kind of a not low power, but lower powered laptop that I have up in our room. I might try the streaming on that, just see how it works with the mouse and keyboard, and see how that works. Because really all I need is a mouse, a separate mouse to move around with, and see how it works with the streaming.
Yeah,
so,
Saul Greatman, who I've been chatting with as he's been playing, he could probably answer some of those multiplayer questions. Some of those multiplayer questions that you had there, Brian. But so he just posted this tweet here in the chat. This is from the Palworld Twitter account. 12 million copies on Steam, 7 million on Xbox. This is as of January 31st.
Now that's players, so that's going to be 7 million out of the
copies. Oh, copies. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Well, copies for Steam.
So
players
Xbox,
for Xbox,
they're going with players because they can't guarantee a sale, right? It's players there. Xbox or Steam would be a purchase.
Correct. But now this is 8 days old, so I don't know. Yeah. Let me look and see if there's been an update from them in terms of sales. But they're constantly patching.
For 22 months in a row of your sub.
Yes, Donnie, thank you very much for that. They're constantly producing updates. There's constant patch notes. I'm not seeing anything new in terms of player numbers since the 31st, but I purchased it after that. I would assume that number now it might be closer to 30 or 35 million. I mean, it's massive. I mean, this is a pretty nuts situation for a game like this. This thing came and literally nobody knew about this game before it was released.
Yeah, because I didn't hear anything teasing it. All I heard was the controversy, of them possibly infringing on copyright,
which I don't think
whatever it was.
Too, yeah,
yeah. The whole Pokemon versus Palworld, and really it's Pokemon's fault for not coming out with a game that's like this, that's the smooth. I mean, they have. If they're mad about it, like why didn't they come out with something they made instead? Was it Niantic or whatever it is?
Niantic, yeah.
Niantic, go out in the real world and hold your phone staring at places in the middle of nowhere type of a game. When this is the one and then of course COVID didn't help with that whole situation. They're encouraging everybody to leave their houses, and then turn around and now nobody's supposed to leave their houses. So.
I actually asked this question. I was chatting with our friend Saul and a couple of other folks over the week, and I brought up this point that Nintendo could have easily done this, and they're just so antiquated in the way that they handle their IPs that they just chose not to, and somebody else copied the concept and is raking in gazillions of dollars for it.
Yep. Yep, good for them. I mean, this is it looks like a fun game. I'll try it out tonight and see. It'd be fun because this is a co-op game, so that might be a fun one to play with my wife.
Yeah, definitely. I think Saul and his wife have a world that they play in. So yeah, I really, in my old age, Brian, I'm now 27 years old. As of a couple of days ago. In my old age, I just enjoy the I enjoy the slower pace of this. I just enjoy the very casual nature of it. I guess I have enjoyed playing games like Rust. Obviously, we enjoyed games like H1Z1, but and Call of Duty, very very fast pace. But that is what I've enjoyed about this the most. Just how casual and laid back. I've been on the phone I've had lengthy phone calls while I'm playing, and I can multitask and do those things. Saul says we really enjoy playing together. Wife loves collecting cute things. It's a very aesthetically pleasing game. They've done a.
So
really
are you
good,
saying that your wife thinks you're cute? Is that why she's with you?
I don't think she's saying that, but so yeah, that's it. I wish I could have a more succinct answer to it, but it's one of these. To me, it's one of these games that if you are a fan of survival, I think you will really enjoy.
Well, I'm interested to see where they go from here, because the thing is they've got this initial huge amount of people playing. Are they going to be able to add content, add things, and continue this ball rolling and still make money in the long run with it?
Yeah, you got to do the ARC method, different worlds. I mean, that's the clear. You
got to come up with something, right?
Yeah, Ragnarok, all these other different ARC DLCs. That to me, that is for a game like this, and there is a precedent for that being successful. The DLC, the new worlds, the new creatures on the new worlds. That is what they will need to do for this game to have any sort of longevity, and of course generate revenue, because it's a $30 one-time purchase, which is not a small sum of money, but it's a $30 one-time purchase.
But with those kind of server costs, that can come back to bite them.
Now I can say I'm a very generous person, so I have not contributed to those server costs because I'm a good guy. But $30 only keeps the light on for so long. You've got to be able to continually generate revenue. I know they're talking about potentially doing a donation thing on there, and I'm sure that they will. And I'm sure they will get a whole bunch.
Do a Game Pass. I mean, they should do a Game Pass system, like a pass system, or release a world every 6 months. I mean, that would be the smart thing, is so that people know that content, because that's what really kills these type of games, is when people get the feeling that it's never going to happen. Like whatever that next thing is they're waiting for, release something big, whether it's a world or something that's going to consume people's time every 6 months.
It'd be a new map. Yeah.
Yeah. Do a new map every 6 months, and, have some, being that I've not played the game, I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but, whether you're going between the maps or if it's expanding the current area and you're kind of gating to more difficult levels, however they're doing it, like put that on there so people keep playing. Because if I know in 6 months there's going to be a bunch of new content, I'll push to get to that level to where then I can move on to the next content and keep making it more difficult. And kind of like what WoW does. I mean, that's really WoW's whole methodology is keep adding content. Now here, don't make it to where all the original stuff is pointless, because that's what WoW did beautifully, was people still play through all that original content getting there. Here, they need to make sure they're not tossing everything out, to let the new in. Make it to where you're progressing, and just make the progression go farther and longer, so that a new person coming into the game has a ton of content to play. Like years worth of content. So I don't know. Hopefully they do. If it's that good of a game, hopefully they don't totally screw everything up and just fall apart in the next 6 months.
I don't say, I don't want to say screw everything up, but I mean, let's be honest about this. You talk about rags to riches. You talk about a game that it was on zero people's radar, and then you've got 30 plus million sales of the game in the span of 3 weeks. I don't think even in their wildest estimations or dreams they expected this. So I'm sure there's a little bit of rose-colored glasses right now, but definitely figuring out that next step. I don't know that a Game Pass is the first step. I think that is seen by people with, again, we're talking about a studio without a track record, realistically.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of a immediate season pass would probably rub people the wrong way, and rightfully so. I mean, you're going to season pass. What the hell are you going to make? ARC didn't start with a season pass. There was 2 or 3 DLC packs before there was the season pass system in ARC. So I think that's the approach. The game came out in January, late summer. There's a new map that comes out. That's $15 or whatever, however much. Yeah, you probably couldn't charge more than that. The base game is $30. So $15 for that. See what the reception is, and go from there. That's to me, that's what I see going on, or that's what I would like to see go on.
In Skank in our Discord, he posted a meme, says Palworld is just Pokemon with guns, somebody puts, and then he has images of Pokemon during the 90s where they had guns. So.
Yeah, this whole thing, Pokemon with guns, I know that's in the cover art. I am level 17, and not only do I not have a gun, I think I might be able to craft one at this point if I do my technology path the correct way. But none of the Pokemon have weapons as of, none of the pals have weapons as of right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure they will. But the idea that you're just in the world and like day one, everybody's walking around with chain machine guns, that is not the case. The enemies, some of the enemies have guns. The NPC enemies called the Syndicate, they have pistols, and I've killed plenty of them. I've got ammo. I don't have a gun yet though. So.
Well, I'll check it out. I'll try it tonight and see. Also have my wife try it out and see what she thinks.
One of the things I'm going to try.
I like the idea of a casual game.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's as casual or as hardcore as you want. Like Rust is not a casual game. You can try and play Rust casual. I don't think you'll have a good time because that's not the style of game. This game I think is slated to be more casual. You can probably grind it a little bit harder if you wanted to. But one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm traveling tomorrow. I'll be out of town for a couple of days. You can do the Steam stream thing over the internet, the public internet, where you stream games to a lower quality device. So I'm going to try streaming that maybe from home. I'll be up in New York, streaming that from my desktop here or there and see kind of what the process is, how that plays out on a game that timing is important, but it's not a multiplayer FPS where every single frame necessarily counts. I'll be curious for your experience.
What's the combat really like? Like, what is the combat like?
So there's
they showed the guns in that image, but like, what do you really do to fight?
So there's two different things with combat. There's combat, like you as your character as early on as a player. It's arrows, it's spears and clubs and things like that. But then a lot of the combat is also the pals that you catch. You can carry around 5 of them with you, and you deploy them from this ball, and they fight on your behalf. So that's some of the combat is NPC versus NPC. Especially when you're battling bosses and things like that, you're not really part of that combat. When you're just roaming the world and there's these little things running around, like I see this sheep over your right hand's shoulder, you're doing more of the combat with that. And you can have a pal out if you want. So that's kind of the interesting thing about the combat. Very similar to Ark. I mean, when something aggroed in your Ark base, everybody would swarm and run away and go to attack whatever was attacking the base. So it's kind of a similar element here. There's kind of 2 different branches of combat.
Well, that looks fun. I'll try it out. I'll let you know what we think.
Yeah, it's definitely. We will report on it. We'll have the details for you next week. All right, Brian. Disney and Epic. This just happened like 3 hours ago.
Do you want to play that video really quick? We can surprise everybody with a video.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. For our audio listeners.
It kind of introduces it in there.
Yeah, audio listeners.
And we'll talk about it, right?
We'll talk about that. Make sure my music is paused here. Yeah, this is a video that was just released on YouTube less than 2 hours ago. A pretty big deal here.
Discover a place where magic is epic.
What did we watch?
All right, so we've got Disney, who has purchased a $1.5 billion share of Epic so that they can start making these multi-year projects. If you're wondering what that means, this happened here recently. Look at the Lego collab that they did that we talked about within the last number of weeks, where they had a huge amount of content with Lego to where almost every skin in the game, they had a Lego version of it. And they had a special maps and everything you could go and earn those skins on. I think with that one, that was a $1 billion investment that the parent company of Lego, actually, I take that back. It was $2 billion that which they received from that. And so, that was an example of them getting a huge investment from another company and then implementing their product in a huge way into their own product. So here they're going to have different maps, different locations, such as like Marvel Nexus War. They've got all these different things that have a lot of models already. They've already got a lot of Disney products in Fortnite from skins. So it looks like now they're going to create maps, places that you can go that are designed with certain things in mind, either Marvel, Disney, ESPN, LucasArts, or Lucasfilms, Avatar, all these different environments. They'll be able to create a map that's dedicated to that, or create a mode. I mean, they showed Rocket League on there using Disney like cars, so having themed versions of their games inside of this whole. I think this is really their Sweeney's metaverse goal is to create a place where you go to experience all of these things, because that's really what the metaverse is going to be about. Like, the metaverse is really the internet in a way. As far as we could consider a metaverse, the internet. Everybody goes to the same internet, right? And when you say I'm on the internet, you're all in the same place. You may connect a different way, but you're there. That's been the real question with this whole metaverse thing. What is it? Where is it? How do you get there? There's no standard yet. People are trying to create their own version of the metaverse, whether it was Facebook trying to do it, because where were you going to go on Facebook? I mean, you go to Facebook, but okay, that's not the metaverse. How are you immersing yourself into that? This has an actual way of doing that. This has a place where when new products are being released, maybe a movie's going to be released, they can put out a whole world dedicated to it. People can create their own worlds. I think that this is a good way to move that direction as far as becoming the metaverse, because they can create a huge world that just has a ton of stuff in it. You can create your own characters. You can buy assets. Maybe you can make your own world at some point, because they've been doing the creative mode to where people can go and create their own levels and maps and everything. This is a step to that, and that's a huge amount of money. If you wondered how they were doing $1.5 billion, how Epic is doing, when you can do deals like this. Of course, what percentage did you see? What percentage of the company? I don't remember if it was a 10% share, I think.
Is it actually a stake of the company, or are they just investing into Epic? Are they
equity? They got an equity stake.
An equity stake. Okay, I didn't realize it was an equity stake.
I think it was 10% of the company is what they bought.
Interesting.
I'm trying to find where I saw that, but I saw somewhere where I thought it was like 10%.
Well, so
yeah, I don't see it here.
So here's kind of the interesting thing. Disney is an interesting company right now. They are under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of scrutiny from various angles for some of their recent business decisions, maybe is how I'll put it lightly.
Yeah.
And with that, this is an avenue for them to try and maybe build maybe build some goodwill. I mean, we always talk about Nintendo in regards to just crazy IPs that they have. Well, yeah. Disney has the same thing. I mean, they've got IPs going back to the early 60s, 50s actually, when you look at some of the early Mickey Mouse stuff that they still own. So you've got, 60, 80, 70, 80 years worth of stuff that they have IP over. Fortnite, contrary to what people might want to be the case, is still an incredibly popular game that has a massive player base day in and day out. They've got new modes that I will admit I haven't played it in forever. But they've got new modes that they're bringing in constantly. One of the hot modes right now is kind of a racing mode that they've brought into the game that I know, like kind of like a Mario Kart kind of racing mode that folks seem to really be enjoying. Again, haven't played it. This seems like a good partnership if I'm Disney to get into this with Epic. And yes, I mean, I think if you were to ask Mark Zuckerberg about the metaverse and what, all the gazillions of dollars that they've invested there and what did they want to accomplish, probably kind of what Fortnite is doing now. And I want to pull back the trailer here. This is kind of what's this is right towards the end of the trailer. Play, watch, create, shop. There's a lot of stuff
watch
in there.
Movies, right?
Watch content.
They're going to have theaters.
I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I mean, we're talking about a video game, and their kind of slogan here is play, obviously, watch, create, and shop. So the shopping thing makes sense with skins and modes and things like that. But that's where the expansion is here, and I think, unbeknownst to Tim Sweeney at the time, this is what he was creating with Fortnite. I mean, it's important to step back. Fortnite was originally supposed to be a survival game.
Yeah.
And then it turned into what it is now, and now it's turned
and it wasn't even necessarily, it was a zombie, like, you build up a base and defend it over through the night type of a thing. Not even a real open world survival game as you thought of it. And then then the whole BR thing just blew up, and then here we are. I think there's another thing for Disney that they don't say in here, but that for them making this type of an agreement with Epic is huge. In another way, what do they now use to make a lot of, for instance, their Star Wars films?
Well, they use a lot of stuff in Unreal, of course.
They use Unreal Engine to actually create the scenes, the green screen and the environments, and make the film. So them getting a stake in Epic also gives them a stake in Unreal Engine to a point, right? To where they're making sure that doesn't go away or doesn't do things that affect them in a negative way with how they're now making their films. So that's like a side one that I haven't seen any of these things talk about. But Disney has a definite reason to want to be buddy-buddy with these guys because their films are now being made on their product as well.
A huge vested interest in the success of Epic and the Unreal Engine, and they're not alone in that. I mean, a lot of mocapping is happening via motion capturing is happening on Unreal Engine. I mean, you've got television networks and films, as you note, and television shows where things are being rendered and done in Unreal. That is a branch that we don't talk about all that often, but I think this would have been probably 6 or 7 years ago. I think probably not that. It would have been 6 or 7 years ago. I went out to Las Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters show, and there were many companies that were doing green screen and not just your traditional green screen where you're standing behind an image, but augmented reality with green screen, and the augmented reality part was all being rendered in real time by the Unreal Engine.
Yep. Now, one thing I was looking here, and Sweeney, he words it like this: we're collaborating on something entirely new to build a persistent, open, and interoperable ecosystem that will bring together Disney and Fortnite communities. So that's where it'd be interesting to see how persistent, because they do have maps, but is this a place where if I want to go and hang out with people that I've met in this environment, can we go meet at the same place and we'll see each other? Is it going to be to that level to where people can run around and hang out and talk? Or is it going to be more like Fortnite to where you load into a map and there's not that persistence to it?
I mean,
Disney knows to me means I can go there at any time and it'll be there.
Disney knows theme parks pretty well. It's one of the things that they do. So I would assume I can only assume that would be part of this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how they implement this, because this is going to be something very unique, and they've got to make something that is fun. There's something that keeps people hanging out, or they've got to keep people busy. It's not going to be like Second Life where people are standing around, and not that I played that, but that what's the goal of that game? Okay, some people make things in the game or make people, whatever. What are you going to be doing in this game? Then the average player, a lot of these kids aren't going to have a bunch of abilities to go and create things. So there's got to be a bunch of pre-created content.
But look at a game like Roblox. I mean, that is a large part of these games. Now, Fortnite doesn't have like a real like open world like lobby system. A lot of it is instance based with specific game modes. But I would not be surprised to see maybe them going into more of that. I kind of think of like the MMO trading post or the MMO welcome area that where you've got people just kind of hanging out and then jumping into those mini games from that's
what I kind of assume.
Point.
Yeah,
that's
they need to have an area where people create communities.
That's the next logical step. Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not going to be this metaverse thing. The metaverse to me means kind of like what Facebook was initially to the earlier internet, when all of a sudden people had one place where they knew most likely someone was going to be there, because that was one of the first places that really happened. This has to be the next version of that, to where, of course you're on Facebook, right? Everybody's on Facebook. Well, this has to be of course you're on whatever they call it. I don't know what they're going to call it. It's probably not going to be Fortnite. But if they come up with some sort of a term for this world, anybody who has a computer or a console, they're going to be a part of it.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how they pull it off and whether or not it actually works.
Yeah. So again, this is all just coming out. This we don't have any no additional soon-ish. You kind of saw that joke there at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
Soon TM, but I'm sure we'll learn more about this in the weeks and months to come.
Yep. So sounds good. Let's keep an eye on it, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Definitely. What else going on?
I just want to mention something up here really quick about Google, because Google, supposedly they were in talks of teaming up with Tencent to buy Epic Games. And this came out of that whole trial in 2018. And so they were looking to team up to buy 100% of Epic Games. And so I'm kind of glad, with how Google seems to drop everything. And a lot of the politics of Google. I'm glad that they didn't. In this, they also explored a 20% stake in Epic, which would have been at that time $2 billion. So it looks like $1 billion per 10% is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't make it. Epic is a hot company right now. They're doing tons of things that are really good. No one else seems to be able to compete with them in the same areas. I mean, because look at how long their game, Fortnite, has been one of the top games. I mean, it's been since it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hasn't gone away. So I just thought that was interesting. They're definitely not going to be open to being purchased now. It's not
No, I don't foresee that being the case. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Microsoft comes in and pulls an Activision Blizzard and offers them, was it $69 billion or something? Maybe.
I mean, maybe it'd be pretty crazy. Tencent has the money. I mean, if anybody's going to do it, Tencent probably could. They're struggling a little bit right now, but I guess if you can't beat them, buy them.
Can't beat them, buy them. Yeah, exactly. That is the that is the old adage. Exactly. Interesting.
So do you want to talk a little bit? There's something I brought up to you earlier in the pre-show or pre-show.
Yes.
About Twitch. Is that something you want to talk about here for a few minutes?
Yeah, I think so, Brian. We love Twitch. Good old friends over at Twitch. Yeah. What's going on there?
So I saw, we mentioned this, I think it was last week, about Pokimane leaving Twitch. Yes. Well, I saw an article pop up where Asmongold, he is a big WoW guy, does streaming more based on his personality now than WoW.
The game, exactly.
But so he was baffled, and this is in his words, by Pokimane's reason for leaving Twitch to go stream on YouTube, because she's been on this platform for 10 years at this point. And I'm going to try to find this quote here. Let's see. So she had said, I got to find her exact quote. So, she said she wouldn't be renewing her contract with Messy Twitch, as she called it, describing several issues she faced with the platform, and now she'd be taking her business over to YouTube. She explained that the platform isn't heading in the direction she'd like it to, and noted that the rise of manosphere red pill BS on Twitch that led her opting for YouTube. And then, of course, Asmongold is baffled by her reasoning. He says, how are you going to say this and then go to YouTube? Like, are you kidding me? You're going to go and say this about Twitch and then go to YouTube? Because YouTube is more of where people are getting red pilled. The conservatives had to run to YouTube because Twitch ran them away.
Yeah.
Men are not favored in any way. Who's the? Of course, Nick knows who's the top streaming on
Twitch. Yeah, let me check my history. Let's see what's going on over
check,
here.
Check Nick's history, and you'll see who the top streamers are on Twitch.
Let's go. Browse.
They're not men.
And just chatting. Let's see what's going on old.
You're destroying your.
I'm destroying the infection. I mean, this is.
Oh, thank you. The infection one. Yeah.
I don't even think I can show this one. I mean, this lady's just got her butt hanging out.
So yeah. So he says, how the F do you go from Twitch to YouTube and blame Twitch for having red pill stuff whenever the red pill stuff is primarily on YouTube? He says, I don't know. There's way more of it. There's more red pill stuff on YouTube than there is stuff on Twitch. Period.
I mean, this is the just chatting category in Twitch right now.
There you go. So I mean, yeah, they're really favoring men over here. Well, it's just turned into a whole.
But hold on a second, because I have
they're serving men, but the streamers are not men.
I want to take this a completely different route than you're taking it. Twitch is a video game website. If you polled 100 men and polled 100 women, do you play video games? You will find that the overwhelming majority of men would say yes, and the overwhelming majority of women would say no. It's not going to be 100% of either, but there's video gaming is a lot more prominent amongst males than it is women. That's just a fact. Yeah. So the idea that the site would be tailored, and by the way, who is watching more content on Twitch? Well, because more men are playing video games, well, it's going to be men.
Yeah.
So, of course, the platform is going to be tailored more towards that. I mean, that's but insane. The audience is not female. It's a freaking video game streaming website.
But I don't even get what you mean by manosphere. Like,
who freaking knows, Brian? I have no clue.
What does that even mean?
Nothing.
The only reason she's really popular, and not to be rude to her, the only reason she's really popular is because she's a female and she is young, or was young when she started. I mean, she's not old by any means. But,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she was just out of high school or whatever when she started. That's the only reason that she became super popular. Like, what does she do that's better than everyone else? Whether it's playing video games, because there's people that are famous because they're really good at video games. There's people that are famous because they have really good personalities. Does she have either one of those? I mean, not to be a jerk, but she doesn't. She was friends with Myth and their crowd in the very beginning. That's why she's popular. I'm going to call that out the way it is right early on. She's only popular because she was good friends with those guys, and then they kind of did streams with her, and they rose her up and made her very popular. And it was only because she was a girl and was streaming on there, and a bunch of guys watched her because of that. If she was a dude and she plays the way she plays video games, she would not be popular. She'd be one of the guys with five viewers if they're lucky. I mean, just because that's just the majority of what Twitch is. As far as people streaming video games, there's few peoples with maybe hundreds of people, thousands of people watching them. The majority of the people have a couple people watching them, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that, I think, for her, I mean, the whole thing, she's calling herself out in a way, because the only reason that she has excelled is because she's a female on this platform, because they tend to do better on this platform with not having to do crazy things like be a professional level video gamer or be like Dr. Disrespect and have crazy amount of production value.
Yeah. Let me be fair to Pokimane. She's been on Twitch for like 11 years.
So I'm saying, I'm not trying to be a jerk to her. She talks. She does the work.
Sure.
To put it.
I will admit, I have never watched her, so I don't know. I don't know anything about. She's been on. She didn't just pop up yesterday. She's been on Twitch since like 2013.
I only really saw her when she collabed with Myth and them.
Okay.
And so that they talk to her a lot. That's how I know who she is. But
let me say this. Hold on. Let me stop.
She's not like a professional video game player. There's not something she's bringing to the table that's unique, other than being a female.
But let me say this: her audience, I would assume, her audience is predominantly male, because again,
yes,
Twitch as a website is predominantly males watching. I mean, there is not a large population of females that are active Twitch watchers. Why
say this though as her excuse? Because one thing I see here on Dextero, they make a comment. They say if she wants to become a much more mainstream content creator, this is the right call. Why not say that? Why call out Twitch and say some fake reason which has no standing whatsoever between? It just makes her look stupid. And just say there's the better opportunity for me to become a mainstream content creator on YouTube, to where the average everyday person knows my name, because that's true. Twitch is kind of its own little small ecosphere.
Over 75% of Twitch users are male, or identify as male. So I mean that you.
And so why get mad that they're tailoring it towards men?
Well,
I mean, honestly,
that's like saying the NFL is tailoring their content towards men. Well, that's because that's who their audience is.
I mean, if I go to a Men's Warehouse, am I going to get pissed at their dress selection? I mean, come on. I mean, honestly, that's where we're at.
I mean, it's a pretty good analogy. I didn't really think about it like that. But yeah, I mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to a place that's primarily making content and products for men because they're the majority of their clientele. And then you're saying, I'm leaving here. There's too much man stuff here. Well, that's the reason you're famous, is because of that man stuff. That's the only reason you're famous. And now you're saying that you don't like it? I mean, it really, for me, it just looks hypocritical, because she's only famous because of the thing that she's saying is bad.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I thought I'd mention that because we did bring up the fact that she was moving. But definitely. I thought that was kind of entertaining.
And let's be clear about it. It was a big loss for Twitch. She had a massive following on the platform. I'm sure that they were trying to negotiate a price. Twitch doesn't have the money to really strong.
Not right now.
I don't believe Twitch. I do not believe that Twitch is in a strong spot of negotiation right now. They are a company that is cutting staff, just like every other business in this industry. They are trying to figure out how to deal with cuts and deal with some of the other things that the industry is facing and dealing with right now. So they're in a tough a spot as anybody. And I'm sure she wanted a lot of money. She deserves a lot of money based off what she was bringing to Twitch. They just probably couldn't come up with and I
think they made that new decision to not really put a ton of money into streamers anymore. And so since they weren't willing to do that for her, make it to where this I think is going to be a better fit for her in the long run. But her reasoning is stupid.
It's completely
quit hiding behind the men are jerks, red pill. We don't like conservatives. Men are ruining everything. Okay,
that's your whole audience.
Thanks. So. Your whole audience. The only reason that you own a house right now, that's that big and have all those nice things is because all these people that you're calling and saying are bad.
Correct.
So,
what a time to be alive, Brian. What a time to be alive.
All right. Well, do you want to talk about? We talked about Roblox here for a minute. Do you want to talk about Roblox here to end, or do you have something else?
Yeah, sure. We can jump into Roblox. What's going on over there?
All right. So Roblox, we were talking about this other game, Palworld, and you had mentioned Roblox a little bit. Roblox, according to GameIndustry.biz, says they continue to grow revenues, but are getting deeper losses. So this is here where they have. They're looking at 1.4 billion in revenues, on revenue as high as they're losing as much as 1.4 billion on revenues, as high as 3 billion. So their numbers are up. As far as the full year's number, their revenue was 2.8 billion, up 26% year on year. Their bookings 3.52 billion, up 23% year on year. Net losses 1.16 billion compared to 934 million last year. So they're still, I mean, they're making money, but they're not. I don't know how they can keep sustaining this. They lose money every year.
Yeah, well, this is, Brian, this is called skillful accounting. I mean, the company is obviously not operating at a 1.6 billion.
Getting a refund, a good refund of
not
paying
they're
taxes.
They're not operating at a $1.16 billion. No company could possibly do that.
Yeah.
But I think it shows you that, we talk about this all the time with these always on games. There's always an expense. That's always
the server cost. That's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah.
Look at the server costs that they have maintaining this product, where there's a minimal amount of work and things that they're putting into it themselves. They're just creating a platform that everyone else is creating on. Now, they do have some sort of a revenue share type of a system that they do.
Pretty lucrative one,
money
by
that
the way.
Mm-hmm. And that hopefully that, if they're going to continue this, that's something that can continue. But, this has got to turn around. Like, I still think they're still trying to find that hook. Like, where's that? Kind of like what Epic has with Fortnite, where there seems to be a money machine.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to figure out, how do we make the money with putting in less resources?
Sure,
because that's what they've got to do, and they just haven't figured that out yet. They're still putting in a ton of resources, server costs, infrastructure, also development costs of maintaining a product and growing it so that it always has new things. But they're looking at it. Here's a quote from them. We enter 2024 with even more conviction of being able to achieve our long-term goal of attracting over 1 billion daily active users with optimism and civility. We continue to benefit from the strong network effect in content, social connection, and communication, as well as our investment in immersive experiences, advertising, and AI. And it'll be interesting to see what AI does in this product, because they haven't really shown a lot of that. In-game advertising is another way for them to kind of recoup some of those costs. Collaborations, kind of like what Epic is doing, as far as, hey, we'll have a bunch of your skinned products in here, for money.
That is right after that, their daily active users grow 22% year over year, but it's still 71.5 million, which is an incredible amount, but that is nowhere near a billion. It's not even close.
Yep.
I mean, you're not even at 10%.
Got a long ways to go.
You're at 7.1% of that number.
And what are their server costs going to be with 1 billion active daily players?
Here's the thing, though, and I'm glad you brought up the Epic and Disney thing that we talked about earlier, because realistically, the only way you grow a game like this, which they've done a remarkable job with Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't believe I've ever played it. I've definitely never played it. They've done an incredible job with it, but and yes, 22% year over year is a good number, obviously, but you are capped at a certain point because your base is only so big, and that's when you look at this partnership between Epic and Disney. You are now and there's obviously a lot of crossover in people that are already playing Fortnite that are jazzed about this Disney news. But you're talking about Disney has got some of the most loyal, like super, almost to the point of where it's a little weird. Like, have you seen these like Disney adults that are on like social media? These people are freaking weird, dude. They're like you're in your mid 30s or early 40s, and you're taking 8 trips to Disney a year, and it's a little weird. Not trying.
I grew
to
up
shame
with knowing a family that was like that, where every year they went to Disneyland.
Oh, dude, now every year, every year.
I'm saying they would go at least once a year, and they've done that all their lives, and their kids are now in their 30s. And they're still going with their parents to Disneyland.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to go once a year, that's what. Dude, there's people going like multiple times a year. They get engaged in
crazy.
Epcot. It's a little bizarre. My point of bringing that up is that it is a group of individuals that are rampant fans. I mean, they will, just like we talk about Apple and how Apple people will lap up a $3,500 Vision Pro headset. Disney fans are very similar to that. They will eat up anything that has got Disney's name printed on it, anything that's got Marvel's name printed on it, anything that's got Lucasfilms or Star Wars printed on it. That is an audience that is expansive, and it goes across your traditional video gamer line, which Fortnite obviously already does a really good job, but there's people that have only ever played, that's the only video game they've ever touched is Fortnite. They wouldn't even call themselves a video game. I play Fortnite. So that, to me, if Roblox wants to continue to see massive growth, they've got to start striking deals with big time companies that can bring in big time audiences. Not 71.5 million is already a huge audience, but that ceiling is you're coming to me.
Well, and right now they're tailored to kids.
Sure.
And I think that's a problem for them is people, when they think of Roblox, they think of a thing for one thing that came up at the end of last year is a bunch of parents are suing Roblox because of the child safety features or the lack of child safety features. This is something where they, because they're viewing it as a platform that a lot of people are grooming kids on. I know that's a dangerous thing to say on YouTube. Of course, GameIndustry.biz says it, and they're not exactly a conservative organization, so I'm feeling safe in saying this. But on here, they say, and this was at the end of last year, here was their response. Roblox responded to them saying, Roblox is committed to providing a positive and safe experience for people of all ages. We have an expert team of thousands of people dedicated to moderation and safety on Roblox 24/7, and we act swiftly to block inappropriate content or behaviors when detected, including sexual content, which violates our community standards, a spokesperson said. We have a number of features specifically designed to keep kids safe, including filtering text chat on the platform to block inappropriate content or personal information, and offering parental controls and features to limit or turn off chat. We have invested in building tools to give parents visibility into their children's activity, including to prevent them from making unauthorized purchases. We also partnered with more than 20 leading global organizations that focus on child safety, online safety, or both, and belong to a number of industry organizations developing best practices to keep users, particularly children, safe. Now, here's where I don't quite agree with them, is that they listed, okay, we can make it to where you can limit chat, you can limit purchases, but you don't limit the ability to go into non-curated maps, worlds. I can't say I only want them to go into official Roblox maps and not custom game modes that this random person has made.
Yeah,
that's my issue. It's not the chat. I mean, I appreciate you can turn off the chat because that's good. I want that. But it's the fact that I can't limit what game mode and mod, if you want to call it that they go and enter. I don't want them doing the horror ones. I don't want them doing all these others.
But let me play devil's advocate. I know nothing about Roblox.
Yeah.
Without that stuff, is it really even a game?
Yeah,
I know they have some of their own stuff, but I mean,
you need to have a curated list, kind of like what YouTube Kids is.
And they don't have that?
They don't, because there's things that they slipped in. There was a sex tape by Kardashian that got put into one of the game modes.
Well, it happens.
Kids were seeing, huh?
It happens to the best of us.
Well, but I'm saying, but that shouldn't happen. If I pulled up YouTube Kids and all of a sudden there was totally inappropriate content popping up, I'd be like, all right, kids, we're uninstalling YouTube Kids. Right? Not that our kids really, we don't give them access to YouTube really, but still, that's something that as a parent, that's what I would consider. I want to know that either they're only going to be led into things that are official, that hasn't been made by some 12-year-old and weird things have been, or not been made by some 40-year-old pervert. Just being straightforward with you, I don't want random game modes to be accessible. Let me limit and say either I can whitelist game modes or maps, if you want to call them that, or I can have a curated list that they have access to that I know is not going to have any weird content in it.
Yeah, I was just.
That's my problem with Roblox, and they don't offer. They at least up until recently they
don't.
They didn't offer that.
I'm reading it right now. I don't see anything that indicates that you can do some of that stuff that you're
Yeah, and that's what I found. So we just took Roblox away from them completely. They don't have access to Roblox anymore because of that. And so I agree with the parents that the fact that a person can make a game mode, regardless of whether there's chat, that has a porno video playing in it, and then your kid can enter it, and until enough people flag it and it gets checked and removed, that there's a chance that they'll access that. That's my issue. So you're tailoring it for kids, but you're not putting in the most basic of protections for kids or for parents, for the kids.
Yeah, I just don't see. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to go through what you're describing. I just don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't, and I don't get. That's like a basic feature. Like if my 8-year-old,
I wonder if there's
is
not
going to be running around in this, huh?
I wonder if there's just not a good way for them to do it. I don't know. I mean, obviously,
I think because they
There's
don't
no
have a
reason
bunch
they
of curated
technically
content. It's a bunch of these. They'd have to go through and partner with map makers or create their own game modes and have that be the official list that then, maybe they can have a system where they can request from me to be able to access certain game modes, kind of like what Android does. If they try to go to a website or they want to launch an app, they can pop up a notice to me and I can grant them access to
Oh,
go
really?
to that.
I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Yeah, do that. So because my kids can't install anything on their phones unless they request it. They can't go to any websites unless they request it, and I've approved it. Do that with Roblox. Come up with your base set of 20 games, 20 maps. That would be a healthy number to start with, and then everything outside of that, if it's a child's account and you put parental controls on it, everything else has to be requested and approved. Then I would let our kids play Roblox. But they've not done that. So for me, it's 100% no.
You can restrict games by name, apparently.
Yeah. So I have to go. But, they're naming these things all kinds
now,
of
hold on.
random
As a
things.
parent, you want to ensure that your child is playing age-appropriate games on Roblox. One way to do this is by creating a custom game list for them. This will give you control over the types of games they have access to and also provide some peace of mind.
But see, they don't have a standard set of ones that I can grant them. I have to go and find all the game modes inside of Roblox and whitelist every single game mode that I think they might like.
Yeah.
Have a directory that they can request to me and say,
right.
will you approve this? Will you approve this? And it pops up in my email. I can approve it. However, do that. So, because I don't want to go run and play 30 different stupid kid games to see what ones might be appropriate. And how do I know when you get to the 20th level of whatever they're doing that a porno doesn't pop up in the middle of it?
Well, but let's be honest. But Brian, let's be perfectly honest and clear about this. This is also just the reality of having a multiplayer game with
on the internet that lets you create and build it.
Yeah, I mean that's just the reality of it. The answer to answer your question, how do I know at level 20? The answer is you're not going to know, and you're not. So
that's why I want to curate it to where then maybe I can open up the door a little bit and watch them play a game for a while and then see if I want to restrict them, back from it. Create that sort of environment. It's too much work for me to let my kid get started in a safe way. And so for me, rather than put that work, I'll let them play something that are either doesn't have this risk or is already put in the tools to prevent them from getting to places and seeing things they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well,
which is maybe why they're not making all the money that they want to.
That's a real possibility. Hopefully somebody's listening. Where can folks find you online, Brian?
All right. Well, if you want to find me, you can find me at Boyce and Computer on X, or of course you can go to at Brian Aldridge on Gab, Getter, Truth Social. If you want to go check out my blog, you can do that at biteoftech.com. Or if you want to go to our website, just go to infectionpodcast.com, go to the upper right-hand side, and join our server on Discord. If you do that, we've got a bunch of ARC servers, 11 different ARC servers that you can go and play. We have a politics channel if you want to go and hang out and do that. Or if you want to just give links for different topics that you think might be relevant for the show, toss those in the show news channel. If you want to watch the live show, you can do that through Twitch or YouTube, or we upload after the fact on Rumble. If you want to listen to the podcast format, you can do that at the lower right-hand side. We've got a lot of different ways and places that you can listen. Of course, those are all uploaded after the show is completed, and so that means that the particular episode show notes and everything's going to be right there available on the page if you're going to be listening. If you do that, there is a built-in audio and video player there and links for everything that we discussed throughout the show. So it's a great way to perhaps the video that we saw in the beginning of the show, you're listening and you weren't able to see it, just jump on the episode show notes and you can watch the full video right there. Of course, if you want to support us, there's a support menu option up top or infectionpodcast.com/support. Oh, there you go.
What happened to my...
I want to reset.
Logo
headline.
Well, damn.
It went back to its defaults.
How did that happen? Well, hold on a second.
Infectionpodcast.com/support.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I'm looking at the text here. It looks like it should be good.
It's just not pulling it in.
Yeah, it just keeps saying logo headline. That's really reload.
Yeah, we tried.
Oh, we got
logo.
We got the headline part. Reload.
But the logo's missing.
Well, the logo's supposed to be a $sign, huh? All right. Well, yeah, we'll be back next week.
We'll fix it.
All right, Brian. Thanks. Looking forward to hearing some of your Palworld stuff next week. We'll talk about all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check me out, you can visit nickcraig.com. That's where you'll find my daily antics that is included on the Wilmington's Morning News podcast. You can also find me on X at Nicholas M. Craig. As Brian noted, if you miss any portion of today's program, head on over to our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.